We are talking about also starring Austin. Welcome here. I'm assuming you're all Austinites.
We are, except he's now out in LA.
What? He sold out. I'm just joking.
Making country music videos.
We've got like this weird thing happening in Austin where we're like half Californian at this point, but everybody who leaves goes to California.
Yeah, and I'm from California, so
Wait, which part?
I'm from Santa Barbara area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, if you say Bay Area, like last week, like 50% of the people that I ran into were like, I'm from San Francisco. I'm like, of course you are. And then when I asked somebody, are you from San Francisco? They got really offended because they were from San Diego. I was like, oh, my bad.
North and south.
My bad. All right, so whose idea with this? How did it begin? Where did you like get the lightning bolt?
It was my idea, and I and then brought on Laura soon after to start researching and figuring out, watching all these movies. But really it started with a conversation about like what are the best movies that were shot in Austin. We were sitting in a river talking to a friend, and she and I started this ongoing conversation. And then I was at this event where the Austin Film Society was strangely honoring Meatloaf that year as part of the Texas Hill Film.
Dude, I was there.
There you go. Yes, Meatloaf. Bound Out of Hell. Paradise by the Dashboard Light. Anyway, so they showed Roadie. It was a movie he was in 1980 and shot in Austin. And there's a chase scene through downtown. It's like the middle of the night, and you could just feel the entire audience like wanted to press pause and like see what was downtown. And it just hit me as I was walking out. I thought, wouldn't it be cool to sort of string together a bunch of scenes of movies over time and demonstrate how much Austin has changed over the last 40 to 50 years. This happens all the time when you're shooting documentaries too. There's these planes and helicopters and lawnmowers. But and so it started off more of an experimental film to like actually just string those scenes together. But the more we started watching the films, it was clear that Austin is also a character in these films. It's culture and stuff. And we started to realize there was more to it than just the physical changes to the city. And there's almost like a thread of continuity through these films where you see someone, often it's a young person showing up in town wide-eyed
off a bus, off a plane, whatever, and listening to music, lots of pot, and a lot of them, lots of outsiders coming in, and people resisting change at the same time.
And so we started to realize that there was, a depth to this movie that could be shown, and went out and interviewed Richard Linklater and Robert Rodriguez and Willie Nelson and Toby Hooper, Elizabeth Avillon, and got their perspectives from behind the scenes when they were shooting the movies, but also talking to them about their experience of moving to Austin, their experience of Austin in their lives, and slowly put this together.
How did you get all these kind of hometown heroes in Austin on board with this project?
That's more him. Yeah, sorry.
Well, it was...
I'm just going to throw him under the bus right here.
Yes. Some of them were really difficult. Robert Rodriguez was a really hard interview to get.
He's precious.
And we were both... I was on the board of the Austin Film Society, and Laura had worked there. She ran the theater for the Film Society. So we were very familiar with Richard Linklater. He's very supportive of local filmmakers. So we knew him. He's just hard to schedule. But the Robert Rodriguez and the Willie Nelson were the two hardest gets. And we finally got Rodriguez, and we had 30 minutes, and he was 12 minutes late. So we had 18 minutes. But thankfully, that guy, when that camera turns on, is articulate as all get out. And he tells really good, coherent, succinct stories, which is not the case with every film director.
We also realized a lot of these people who have been in movies in the 60s and 70s that are like known for a lot of pot and other drug usage do not remember very much about said movies, even the titles sometimes.
Well, every film has its challenges, I suppose.
Yes. The challenges here were, it's a double-edged sword, was the wealth of material. We had no idea when we were getting into it that there would be so many movies, and at this point we have over 100 films or TV episodes that appear on the screen in this film. Almost as many that show at the entire festival. You will get in one 90-minute piece in one film.
That's a pretty good idea for a film festival.
Yeah. Exactly. If you like films, then this is the film you want to see, because you're going to see all about film. Yeah.
Well, was it weird for you as a cinematographer, like being around these guys who are kind of the legendary filmmakers of Austin, was it ever like, well, for all of you, was it ever like, oh my gosh, I'm in the room with so-and-so, this is weird?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a little intimidating, but it was such a fun project, and these guys are so supportive and just everybody we interviewed was amazing. So it was just really fun to be a part of.
With Elizabeth Avion, who produced, all the Rodriguez movies, Mike was running late, which is not irregular, and I was setting up the shot with Chris, and I was really unsure about where to put it, and I asked her, like, where do you think would be better? And she said, "You are a female producer, I trust your judgment." And that was like, oh my goodness, that was my experience.
The clouds opened.
And suddenly I had to get it really right, so yeah, it was great.
All right, well, what is the next step for your film, for also starring Austin?
We put it in for some European festivals. We want to see, there's a certain exoticism about Texas in Europe, and so we're hoping to get a little bit of traction there and then bring it back to Austin for a really big blowout party there.
Victory lap.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you made it to Dallas. You guys have a lot of fun, and safe travels back to Austin.